All right, let's jump right in. Picture this. It's January 2026. And if you work in any industry in India, something massive has just happened. There's a whole new rule book, and trust me, it changes the game. You see, for the very first time, there's a single unified safety code that's now in full effect across the entire country. We're talking about factories, mines, construction sites, you name it. They're all now under one modern legal framework. So the big question is simple. Are you ready for this? Because getting your head around this new reality, well, it isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely essential. So let's get you up to speed. Now, at the very heart of this huge shift is India's new safety rulebook, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. That's a mouthful, so for the rest of this explainer, we're just going to call it the OSH and WC code. And let's be super clear here. Knowing this code, it's not optional. Not anymore. This is now the absolute minimum professional literacy you need. So if you're a manager, an engineer, or a supervisor in India, this is basically your new native language. But before we dive into all the new laws, we have to talk about the foundation they're all built on. These are the unchanging universal principles of safety. You can think of these as the why behind all the new rules. These are the core beliefs that safety professionals accept all over the world. And that first one, it's huge. Safety is a line management responsibility. That means it's not just the safety officer's job, it's every manager's job. And really critically, most accidents are preventable. Why? Because they don't just happen out of the blue. A really classic way to get this is Heinrich's domino theory, which goes all the way back to 1931. It says an accident is just the last domino to fall in a long chain reaction. So here's the key. If you can just remove one of the earlier dominoes, say an unsafe action or a hazardous condition, the whole accident never happens. And this chart, it just drives that point home. Look at that. A staggering 88% of accidents are caused, at the end of the day, by unsafe acts. It shows us exactly where we need to focus our energy to stop those dominoes from falling. Okay, now let's jump to a more modern way of thinking. This is called the Swiss cheese model. Imagine your company's safety systems are like slices of Swiss cheese stacked together. An accident can only happen when, by sheer bad luck, all the holes in all those different layers line up perfectly. This is so important because it shifts the focus from just blaming the person who had the accident to looking for failures in the entire system. So how do we plug those holes in the cheese? We use the golden rule of reducing risk, the hierarchy of controls. You always start at the top. The best thing you can do is just get rid of the hazard completely. And the very last resort, the least effective option at the bottom, is just giving a worker some personal protective equipment, or PPE. Okay, so we've got the principles down. That's our why. Now let's get into the second pillar, the 2026 legal framework. This gives us the enforceable what and how. Like we said, the OSH and WC code is now the single most important safety law in India. But this isn't just about a new stack of rules. It's about a total shift in how the country thinks about safety at work. Let's look at a few key numbers that really bring this new culture to life. So what's with this number, 250? Well, if your workplace has 250 or more workers, you are now legally required to have a safety committee that includes both management and workers. This isn't just paperwork. It's about giving workers a real voice in their own safety. And this one, over 40 years. Any worker over the age of 40 now gets a mandatory health checkup every single year, and the employer has to pay for it. This shows a huge shift from just reacting to accidents to proactively keeping the workforce healthy for the long run. Now this number, this is the one that shows the new law has some serious teeth. Fines can go up to 15 lakh rupees for serious violations. That's not just a slap on the wrist. It's a powerful signal that the days of treating safety as just another cost are officially over. Now, what's really cool about this is how all the pieces of the puzzle now fit together. You can see the OSH and WC code is the big umbrella, but older rules like the Factories Act are still important for specific things like machine guarding, and other standards are still in play too. The big difference is they all now operate under this one central code. Okay, with all that in mind, let's make this super practical. We're going to do a quick-fire Q&A on what this actually means for you on the ground day to day. First up, the most fundamental question of all. When something goes wrong, who is ultimately on the hook for safety? The legal answer couldn't be clearer. The OSHA and WC code puts the primary responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the employer. Sure, managers and workers have their own duties to follow the rules every day, but the ultimate accountability, that lies right at the top. All right, here's a really common one. If I give all my workers helmets, gloves, and boots, have I done my job? Is just handing out PPE enough? The answer is a hard no, not even close. Remember that hierarchy of controls we talked about? PPE is the absolute last line of defense. The law is very specific. You have to try to engineer out the hazard first. And of course, any PPE you do provide has to be right for the job and completely free of cost to the worker. So look, if there's only one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this quote. The timeless principles give you the why. They're your moral compass. But the new regulations and standards, they give you the what and the how much, the specific, legally binding rules you have to follow. And when you put those two things together, the principles and the regulations, you get a non-negotiable boundary for how you do business. Real, lasting safety doesn't come from just ticking boxes on a checklist, and it doesn't come from just having good intentions. It happens right where those two things meet, which really just leaves us with one final thought. Take a hard look at your own workplace, your own team. Are you just following the rules because you have to? Or do you also understand and truly live by the principles? Is your workplace living by both?